This is the Conscious Economics Podcast. Your co-hosts are two women who found themselves in careers on Bay Street, but decided that there was something missing. So here we are. I'm Rhiannon Roseland. I'm your co-host and the CEO of the Economic Club of Canada. I'm also the co-founder of Conscious Economics.
Hi, I'm Asil, the CEO of Conscious Economics and a financial therapist.
Now, we call ourselves economic healers, and that is a term that I'm sure nobody has heard before, but we really believe that if we want to heal our systems and create a more equitable society, it starts with actually healing our relationship with money and the economy.
When you join us on this podcast, you'll be exposed to courageous conversations that help us examine, heal, and redefine the relationship we have with money. Join us on this journey as we co-create the new economy together.
What's up, everyone? This is the Conscious Economics Podcast. If you've watched the Queer Collective podcast, then I just copied Carbon. Anyways, we're so happy to have you here for another episode. I am one of your hosts, Rhiannon.
And I'm your co-host, Cecile, and we're here to talk to you today about the importance of gratitude in helping you build your wealth.
Yeah, which is so not something that people normally think about.
Absolutely not, because you're thinking about an investment strategy or like another career that you have to...
Or budgeting better on your piece of paper.
But gratitude is actually a very key point. And the reason being, because accumulating wealth is more than just accumulating money. It's a mindset. And I always tell clients that there's a big distinction between being rich and being wealthy. One refers to simply the sum of money in your bank account, and one refers to the feeling and the emotion and the experience you're going through. So I remember saying this last year, I came up with this quote. It's like, you're not rich until you enjoy having money, not just having money, but you enjoy having money.
Well, and I mean, we've talked about that with the wealth guilt episode.
Yes.
You know, it's definitely something that you can have a lot of money and be absolutely miserable and not enjoying it. So that makes a lot of sense, for sure. And when I think about this idea of gratitude or cultivating gratitude, so I have a gratitude practice. So generally I'll journal and I'll write, 4 things each day that I was grateful for. And they can be small things, like truly, like I was grateful for having that tea and being able to like sit outside in the backyard for 2 minutes because that's all I got, or whatever it is. Or I'm grateful for, I often always felt so grateful for my home that I was living in, especially on a cold day, to come inside to a warm home when so many people don't have that experience. And just being able to think about the little things that we take for granted, and everybody can think of something that, they have that other people don't.
Absolutely.
So just being really grateful, even to just be alive, even for the fact that we can breathe. I mean, after and through this pandemic, so many people have, lost loved ones and all of the rest of it. So just even to be feet on the ground, out breathing oxygen, grateful. Yeah.
When you're actively practicing gratitude, you're reminding yourself constantly of the things that you have right now instead of what's missing. And just the sheer act of doing that helps you tune into the abundance mindset instead of being wrapped into the scarcity mindset. And we're going to explore more into why that is and what that even means. But just think about when you say, I want this, automatically you're saying 2 things at once. You're saying, I want this, but subconsciously your mind is also aware of the fact that you don't have it. So if you're constantly living in a world of desire, of wants and of needs, of things that you don't have yet, you're simultaneously living in that lack world. So therefore, it's really important to learn how to become more intentional about your gratitude practice, so that lack world that you are constantly perpetuating is actually being transformed into what you constantly are surrounded by, from your health to your relationships to all the things that you're actually grateful for, even the material things that you have along the way. And that's one element of it. So there's actually a study by 2 psychologists, Robert Emmons and Michael McClough. I'm not a English speaking, so I may have butchered their names, so excuse me if I did. But they did a study that showed that people who count their blessings have a more positive outlook on life. And that's actually even measured in the way your neurotransmitters in your brain are wired. You exercise more and you report fewer symptoms of illness and are much more likely to help others.
Wow, that's so interesting. And I know, because I know that we all go through, ebbs and flows in our life. And sometimes when things can be a little bit rough, we can get into victim mentality or victim mode, which is, feeds into that scarcity mindset of like, everything's happening to me. I have no control over these circumstances. Woe is me. And when I started the gratitude practice that I have currently been doing was actually when I was in one of the lowest points of my life, where I was dealing with just extreme circumstances, including financial extreme circumstances and hardship. And I just really was like, I have to start to focus on what's good here, because if I keep feeding energy into what I don't have right now, it's going to prevent me from picking one foot up, after another and walking forward.
I so believe in that. And this is why it's important to back these intangible theories with research and credible studies, because at first glance, when you think about, gratitude helps me generate wealth, like, what is this kumbaya BS? But truly, there's so much evidence to say that. So another person, another psychologist, her name is Natalie Lambert, she found a very strong correlation of feeling gratitude and its association with lower materialism. So it's very, very interesting that she did that, because when you have gratitude and it's truly something you are practicing intentionally and authentically, it enhances your satisfaction with life, which naturally reduces your desire to buy stuff.
Well, because a lot of the time what's driving sort of compulsive buying and all of these things is that we aren't satisfied.
Feeling empty.
Yeah, we're feeling empty 100%. And we've got to fill it up.
Mm-hmm.
And in a society where there's so much around us and so much being projected at us all the time, it's so easy to fall into that trap of thinking that you need more. Like, I always find it surprising that if I don't go into a mall or into a place, I don't think about any of these things that I need. And then as soon as I get into the mall,
you feel like, we need all of it.
Oh my gosh. Like, everything here is, and it's just making you feel less than if you don't have it, or if you're not on the latest trend, or whatever those things are. And it's contributing to so much disharmony on our planet. So
100%.
Yeah. Hold that thought. We have a quick word from our partners before going back to the episode. This podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, RBC Investees. Backed by expert human advisors, RBC Investees is a smart, online, automated investment service that allows you to invest with low effort and low cost.
Open your first RBC Investees account and pay no management fees for your first year. Plus, start investing with as little as $100. Simply visit rbcinvestees.com/getinvesting and sign up using promo code AA407.
And now back to the episode.
I'm going to walk you through a list of different traits that are actually very much correlated with increased gratitude. And the first is, obviously, we talked about general increase in your good behaviors, but what does that even mean? So the first is increasing your willpower and improved decision making. And that alone, think about the business decisions that you make on a day-to-day basis. That alone, if you get a better willpower and a stronger skill set to create better decisions that are more effective and more positive in your life, that contributes to better wealth, because you're going to grow your business faster, you're going to grow your business better, and build much stronger foundation for your life. So that alone is something that really, really supports, and it really is the foundation of living life with a gratitude attitude.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
What am I coming up with? So I'm gonna come up with rhyming words.
Coming up with slogans left, right, and center over here.
Very much,
which I'm grateful for.
Yeah. But to root that in a study, because that really puts things in perspective for us. And I'm very passionate about bringing studies into these particular examples, because the conscious economics movement at first glance can feel foreign. But when you look at all these examples of how consciousness truly correlates to increased business performance, to truly increased profits, then it makes business sense. And it's not only good for our mental and physical and psychological well-being, but it's actually great to our pockets. So why the hell are we ignoring these practices and labeling them as like secondary to practical pieces?
One of the things that gratitude has helped me with, sometimes, obviously, we know that running a business and trying to get new products off the ground and all of these things can be incredibly stressful. And there's also just, the people aspect of, teams and different people feeling different ways and all that stuff. And sometimes it can be a lot. And I can recall times when I feel really frustrated and I just kind of want to like scream or give up. And then I really think back and I think to, myself 10 years ago and how grateful I would be to have these problems.
Yes.
Like I have the problem of worrying about how XYZ, like I even have a business that I can do that. I even have these issues that can create these problems. And I think that that is such an important thing to really think about, because it's so easy for us to get caught up in the moment and not realize that 5 years ago I would have been desperate to have like all these issues, cropping up, because it would mean that I was accomplishing things that I never dreamed I would.
Yeah, great point.
So yeah.
So here's something to bring it back to the study I was going to share with you. So this study was done in Northeastern University, and they gave participants a choice between, I either give you $54, I don't know why so specific, but $54 right now, or $80 in a month. And they noticed that students who practice gratitude intentionally and it's part of their life, who live life with a gratitude practice, exercised greater self-control. So they were able to wait a month to get the $80, way more than those who actually were into the, what do you call this? Instant gratification. Yes, exactly. You read my mind. So that's interesting. So that's how willpower and improved decision making is influenced by gratitude. And the second one is higher productivity and relationship building in the workplace. That's also a very strongly correlated skill set that is improved just by implementing gratitude.
So like implementing gratitude amongst your team that you work with? Like,
not necessarily. If you even implement gratitude within yourself in your own life, you show up differently at work. So you start being higher, a much more high productive, and you have a much better ability to cultivate healthy relationships in the workplace. And the reason this is important, because we're talking specifically about how gratitude helps you increase your wealth. So think about it. When you're increasing your productivity and you're increasing your ability to cultivate relationships and building relationships in the workplace, that leads to more promotions, that leads to higher opportunities that come your way.
100%.
So
and I have a deep example of this. When I first graduated school and I got my entry level first job out of school, which happened to be for the Economic Club of Toronto, I was so grateful for that job. So many people that were graduating at that time, it was in the height of the global recession. And so I had so many other friends who were so bright and like way smarter than me and whatever. And they were just struggling to get jobs. I was so grateful for that job. And that attitude of gratitude that I was bringing into the workplace made me want to express that no matter what the task was, like I was happy to do it. And I got noticed much faster. Not that it was intentional, but noticed much faster by my senior management team. And then I was given more opportunities because I was very grateful for any opportunity. And it really changed the dynamic, and I think helped set me on the trajectory of my career.
That's really a good example, because the research I brought here was by psychologist Adam Grant, who's actually a brilliant author. There's lots of books by him that I totally recommend. And they found that when they were implementing gratitude practice in a call center, the productivity increased by over 50% the following week. So they didn't even have to wait so long for these results to show up. It was the difference from one week to the other was an increased performance of 50%.
Wow.
So you can only imagine what these things can lead to on a long-term level. And the last thing I would mention here is when people experience gratitude, they start coming up with different noble uses for their money. So instead of wasteful or mindless spending, there's just different allocations that start bringing more value to your life when you practice gratitude.
So, what are some good gratitude practices that we could help our listeners infuse into their life? So, I told you guys mine, which is just really simple. I literally do it in my notes on my phone. In the evening, I usually meditate and do my sort of general well-being practice in the morning, but I like to take a few minutes towards the end of the day to do this practice. And I just pull up the notes in my phone and I write 4 things that I was grateful for. And I was like going through my old list the other day and just seeing what was coming up. You're on there a bunch of times. But it really does kind of change the way that I think about my day. Yeah.
Another thing I do, and that helped me tremendously when I decided to leave the corporate world with a steady paycheck and start my own entrepreneurial journey. The first few months were so jarring, especially because we were hit by a global pandemic. So I found myself very anxious about spending anything really, whether it's a coffee for a few dollars or like a dentist bill of a few $100s. And the emotion was always jarring regardless what I was spending money on. So I came across this specific tool called Arigato, which is a Japanese way of saying gratitude, but it sounds cool. Arigato. And the way you practice that is truly by expressing gratitude wholeheartedly for every dollar that comes in your life, but also every dollar that goes out of your life. And the way I started doing that, I'll give you the dentist example, because it was it was shortly after I left my benefits with work, because I never had to worry about a dentist bill before. And it was also, like I said, around the pandemic. So I was literally thinking about this few $100 bill that I just received and feeling the anxiety coming in my body. But then when I looked at the receptionist and I looked at her family photo behind her, and then felt that this money is contributing towards this person's household, and then thought about my dentist and showed appreciation and gratitude for his services and the fact that he's able to operate and in the midst of a pandemic and stay open to cater to the residents in that community, and thought about the different staff, the dentist assistant and all these different staff that are working collectively together to keep this business open, and feeling that this money I'm just putting towards is a very small contribution towards this very essential service in our community. And that automatically, like, it was almost an instantaneous shift in my body, going from like high tension and anxious heartbeat to like more like, oh, relaxed and compassionate and loving. It's like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm able to afford this bill to begin with, but also that I'm putting it towards a local business that I appreciate.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that practice, and I like that so much. I think it's such a positive way to think about it, because it really is true that when we are out there and we're contributing to small businesses, to entrepreneurs, to local artists, we're uplifting our communities, we're helping those folks to be able to create more, and we want that same sort of, flow in return. So I think it's a really beautiful way, and not something that we really take time to think about.
But when you become intentional about it, it almost becomes second nature in no time. Like the first few times, it takes, they say, 30 days to cultivate a habit. So really, if you commit a month to really start thinking about gratitude associated with every penny, like every time you get paid, if sometimes most people's paycheck is on a standard day, but a lot of times if you're an entrepreneur or artist, the money flow in your life is so up in the air. So expressing gratitude for every time you receive money is so important, but also become mindful of the time the money is also flowing out of your life, and just creating that flow of cycle makes that free flow even more enriching in a way.
I think that's a really beautiful practice. So we're wishing you at home a lot of beautiful gratitude for all the little and big things that are in your life. And one thing that I know we're grateful for is you, and you continuing to listen and tune in to the Conscious Economics podcast. And of course, you can find us at consciouseconomics.ca if you have more interest in getting involved with the organization or doing some of our really cool courses, including our Mindfulness and Money course, which is available now. You can sign up for free, and really it will take you through some incredible practices so you can cultivate a more conscious relationship with your money. This podcast is brought to you by Cpp Investments. At Cpp Investments, they never lose sight of the long term. They invest the Canadian Pension Plan Fund to help provide financial security for generations of Canadians.
They diversify the CPP fund across geographies and asset classes to access the best investment opportunities and generate sustainable long-term returns. The fund is now more than $400 billion.
To learn more about their investment performance for Canadians, visit cppinvestments.com.